Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the Week 15 Thursday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We have another really good primetime game this Thursday night. We had a really good game Monday night. The Rams and Cardinals played. It was a close game, down to the wire, was pretty high scoring. This is another game that should be close, high scoring. It has a 52.5 total for Thursday night's game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think we did see these teams play earlier this season, and it was a really good game. I think it should be a pretty fun showdown slate. As always, we're going to talk through this showdown slate. We're going to break everything down, go from top to bottom, hit on all the playable options, all the guys that I do have interest in. And then towards the end of the video, we kind of will talk through roster construction, how I'm looking to build out my lineups, who I like playing at captain. We'll do that more towards the end of the video. But before we get started with the breakdown, as always, guys, please do hit the like button down below. I always appreciate the likes. If you're new to the channel here, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. And if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do sign up, and they will match your first deposit. PrizePicks will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. If you take a look at what PrizePicks platform, as you can see, they are more of a player prop based DFS site. So you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections. As you can see already, they have a lot of projections posted for Thursday night's game. Sometimes they'll even add more projections, more stuff as we do get closer to kickoff. But as you can see, they have passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards. They also have fantasy point projections, and it's very simple. You just pick the over or the under on a player's projection if you have a strong lean one way or the other. I would say that in this type of game that expects to be really high scoring, I think a lot of the overs look really good. Just looking at these projections, first look, I think a lot of these projections are too low in what should be a really high scoring game. So you could go over to PrizePicks, make some picks for tonight's game. They also offer a lot of other sports as well, but obviously for this video, talking about NFL, we'll take look at NFL, but they have college basketball, college football, boxing, tennis. They have NBA too. Go sign up for PrizePicks, guys. If you have not yet, sign up, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. But let's take a look at this showdown slate, and we're going to start off at the top. We'll hit on the quarterbacks first. So Patrick Mahomes, $12K, most expensive play on the slate, and then Justin Herbert coming in at $10,800. I mean, both quarterbacks are great options here. Both quarterbacks, I think, would probably be staples in my lineups in cash games. Quarterbacks always provide you a very high floor. Normally, the QBs are always going to be two of the top projected options, and I think that will definitely be the case for this game. Patrick Mahomes this season, we have seen somewhat of a low floor from him. We've seen a lot of disappointing games from Mahomes, but he's still shown a big ceiling. He had a massive game against the Raiders back in Week 10, 39 DK points. Could have had a massive game last week, but they just blew the crap out of the Raiders, and Mahomes didn't really have to throw the ball much. I mean, he only threw the ball 24 times. I think in this game, with what is expected to be a high-scoring game, last time these teams played back in Week 3, you did get 24.9 DK points from Mahomes. Threw the ball 44 times. That game was somewhat high-scoring. 24-30 was the final score. I like Mahomes a lot here. He's a top play for sure. Playing him in the captain spot, I don't know if I'd be doing that. I think I'd be more likely to play Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce in the captain spot, especially because you do save some salary going to those guys. But Mahomes is a very high floor option. He's a great play here. Same with Justin Herbert. Between the two quarterbacks, I mean, Justin Herbert, you could argue, has been better this year for fantasy. I think, in terms of DraftKings points per game, Herbert's actually averaging more points per game this year than Mahomes. I think Herbert's a great play too, though. Again, it's going to be, or at least it should be, a high-scoring game. This Chiefs defense has looked really good lately, but Herbert's just been so good this year. He's an elite fantasy quarterback. He has rushing upside. Not elite rushing upside, but he will scramble. He's going to throw the ball a good amount as well. At 10,800, I think Herbert's a really strong play too. Both quarterbacks are really, really good plays on this slate. I think if I was playing if I was max entering, playing 150 lineups, I would think that a lot of my lineups would have both quarterbacks in them. But then you get to some of these receivers and, obviously the running backs too. A lot of these receivers, though, really good plays here. Tyreek Hill, 11,400. Tyreek Hill kind of been disappointing as of late. Back-to-back pretty bad games for him. Only 2 for 22 against Denver on 5 targets. And then last week in a beatdown against the Raiders, just 4 catches for 76 yards for Tyreek Hill. I don't want to look too much into that, though. We know Tyreek Hill is a very high upside play. I mean, this guy can go out there and just break a slate. He literally has 40, 50 point upside. We've seen him go for 180, 200 yards. I mean, I'm pretty sure earlier this year against the Eagles, he had he had 50 freaking DraftKings points. Tyreek Hill is just a different breed when it comes to upside. Now, the floor on him lately has been a little bit lower than we would, normally, wouldn't expect it to be. Normally he's a guy that gets a lot of volume. He's a very high floor play. I think Tyreek Hill's still a great play here, even though he's been, kind of disappointing lately. The target share is going to be there. He's going to get a ton of opportunity. it should be a game where you see a lot of pass attempts, a lot of points scored in general. Really like Tyreek Hill. I think he's definitely one of the best pay-up options in the captain spot. I think he offers you a lot of upside, and that's obviously what we look for when we're playing someone in the captain spot. So really like Tyreek Hill. Austin Eckler at 10,200 right now is listed as questionable for Thursday night, but he should be good to go. I would say that right here, just reading the player blurb, it says he is sore, but we're going to make sure that before the game that he's feeling okay. I would expect Eckler to play. Eckler is normally a guy that when he is questionable, he tends to play. So I'm expecting Eckler to be out there. If he is, I think he's another really strong option. I mean, Austin Eckler's been a pretty much workhorse running back this year. Doesn't get a ton of carries. Like, he's not going to get like 25 carries or anything. They'll use Justin Jackson. They'll use Josh Kelly a lot on the ground as like reserve roles. But in the passing game, I mean, that's where Austin Eckler does a lot of his damage. You'll see games where he gets 6, 7, 8 targets. They're going to throw the ball to him a ton. On DraftKings, with it being full PPR scoring, obviously Eckler has the upside because he's going to catch probably 5, 6, 7 balls that offers you a very high floor. And obviously the ceiling is there as well if he can get into the end zone a couple times. We've seen games this year where he's gotten, 4 touchdowns week 11 against Pittsburgh. Like, he can get you a touchdown through the ground. He can get you a touchdown through the air. I think at 10,200, Austin Eckler is another really good play. Between the quarterbacks or Eckler, like, I think I'd side with the quarterbacks, but I think Austin Eckler is definitely viable, especially, if we don't find out about his status till like later Thursday night. Like, if we don't find out that Eckler's playing till an hour and a half before kickoff when inactives are released, he could be somewhat low on. Now, I would think that we're probably going to find out about Eckler, sometime early Thursday morning. We'll probably get a report from Schefter or something if he's playing or not. But if he's questionable like all day and we have no idea if he's playing or not till, when inactives are released, that can maybe make his ownership somewhat low. He could definitely be a viable tournament play. Obviously, he's a good play in general, but especially if the ownership's down because of that Q tag. But then you got some of these receivers. So Keenan Allen, 9,400. Keenan Allen, we've seen the target share just be massive this year. As you would expect, and as we've seen in previous season, Keenan Allen just gets so much freaking volume. He's going to get probably double-digit targets just about every week. He runs a lot of, low 8-out routes. Like, he'll run a lot of quick slants. He'll catch a lot of passes. He'll also run some deeper routes too. He's just a really high upside receiver in general in a game that has shootout potential. Keenan Allen, 9,400. I'll be interested to see what his ownership comes in at. Like, I think he's a guy that you could definitely use at captain. We haven't seen Keenan Allen show a massive ceiling this year. His best game this year was, I believe, 25 DK points. 25 DK points. That's his best game this season. But like touchdowns, that's how you get ceiling games. You don't really get ceiling games when guys obviously can go for like 120 yards, but when you get guys that, receivers that can catch multiple touchdowns, you get a receiver that catches like 6 balls for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. You do the math right there. That's 26 DK points. Getting into the end zone is, what really is where all the value comes from for the most part. Keenan Allen obviously going to be targeted a ton, going to be used a lot in the red zone. At 9,400, I think he's another really good play. Like, it's just so hard to say anything negative about these guys. Now, maybe like Mike Williams, I think is more of a riskier option, but like Mike Williams still offers a big ceiling. We know he offers big play upside. I even think at 7,400 he makes some sense as a GPP option. Probably not like a cash game play, but like in tournaments, his captain ownership should be fairly low. I think he makes some sense. I think Travis Kelce is way too cheap. Now, Travis Kelce this year, we've seen a kind of like Tyreek Hill. We've seen a low floor from Kelce. Back-to-back weeks he's had 5 DraftKings points. He's had a lot of games this year with single-digit DK points. But we know the massive ceiling is still there for Travis Kelce. We know most weeks he's going to get 9, 10 targets. So far this year against the tight end position, I want to say the Chargers have been pretty solid. Derwin James, their lockdown safety, and obviously he lines up against tight ends a lot. Tight ends will run into Derwin James, but I think Derwin James is questionable for the Chargers tonight. He could be out, which I think would maybe bump up Kelce a little bit. But so far this year, defending tight ends, let's see. Just looking at like receiving yards per game, the Chargers, where are they at? So yeah, they're about middle of the pack. They've allowed 744 receiving yards to tight ends, which is about middle of the pack. Receptions allowed to tight ends, it's about the same as well, 64 receptions. I would say the matchup for Kelce is not the best, but if Derwin James gets ruled out, I think that'd make Kelce look a little bit better. Just given this game has a high total and a lot of shootout potential. I think that's what we really care about. I don't really look too much into cornerback matchups and all this stuff. I think that's overblown for the most part, especially when it comes to really elite pass catchers like Kelce, like Keenan Allen, like Tyreek Hill. I don't really care who's going to be guarding them. They're going to find ways to get open. So I think Travis Kelce, 8,600 is a really good option too. between him or Keenan Allen, I think I'd rather play Keenan Allen if you can find the salary. But Kelsey firmly in play. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 7K, I kind of like as well. Like, again, it's really hard to say anything negative about some of these top tier plays. They're all good plays. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this type of matchup, I think sets up really well. The Chargers have been killed on the ground this year in terms of rushing yards allowed to running backs. They've allowed the second most rushing yards to running backs, only behind the Texans. And in terms of like rushing touchdowns allowed, second most rushing touchdowns. In terms of receptions, they've been better like defending the pass. So pass catching running backs haven't been doing as good. They've only allowed 53 receptions to running backs, which is actually towards the bottom of the league. But they've been like kind of a run funnel. Like you can definitely run on the the Chargers, excuse me. And they've allowed the second most rushing yards. I think it's a really good spot for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Most weeks Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get probably 15 to 18 touches. Last week, his snaps were way down, but we can't really look too much into that because it was a massive blowout. Obviously, he didn't play much in the fourth quarter, but most weeks, CEH is going to play around 50 to 60% of the snaps. He's going to probably get 15 to 18 touches. They'll use him a little bit in the passing game. Given how bad this Chiefs team has been at stopping the run, I think this definitely could be a spot where maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets loose a little bit, maybe runs for 90, 100 yards. If he can get into the end zone, I mean, he's got 20-plus point upside. I think it's 7K. Clyde Edwards-Helaire makes a lot of sense as well. Really from Clyde Edwards-Helaire and up, it's hard to say anything negative about any of these guys. I think all these guys are in play. Obviously the top tier guys like Mahomes and Hill and Herbert look great. Maybe Mike Williams is a little bit riskier, but man, like you can't really say anything negative about any of those guys now. When you get below CEH and start to look to some of this value, this is where we're going to have to really try and find value because obviously we want to be playing a lot of those guys at the top. If we want to play those guys at the top, we got to play somebody cheap. So looking below 6K, I mean, you got like Jared Cook at 5,400. He's just like a touchdown or buzz play though. I mean, Jared Cook at most is going to get like 3 to 5 targets. You're going to need him to get into the end zone to really have a good game. I think Cook is viable, but at 5,400, I don't love him. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. McCole Hardman at 5K. Again, he's not going to get a ton of volume. We see the Chiefs, like, they run kind of obviously, Hill and Kelsey are going to get a ton of volume. They're going to play a ton of snaps. But then after, like, Hill and Kelsey, I mean, when it comes to the snap percentage for these, like, Chiefs receivers, it's just a total guessing game, like, every week. Most of the time, none of these guys are really going to do that well. Last week, McCole Hardman, he actually played the least amount of snaps out of all the Chiefs receivers, just 35% of the snaps for him, only saw 2 targets. We know McCole Hardman, though, does have a lot of speed. He does offer a lot of big play upside. He's always got potential to take, a long touchdown to the house if he gets a deep ball thrown to him. I think he's in play at 5K. I think he offers a pretty low floor, but the ceiling is there if he can, if him and Mahomes can connect on a long touchdown. Jalen Guyton, obviously, his role was increased last week with Keenan Allen out. He only saw 3 targets, but he did have a 59-yard touchdown. He did play on 59% of the snaps, so his snap percentage actually didn't increase much. The last 3 weeks before that, he was playing around 50% of the snaps, so he actually didn't play more snaps, but he was able to get into the end zone last week. I think at 4,800, Jalen Guyton's probably not going to be someone I go to on this slate, especially with Keenan Allen back. The defenses, I don't really love either. I think the kickers are fine values. Again, value's not great on this slate, so I think if you want to play one of the 2 kickers, I'm totally cool with that. Kickers normally, I say this in every video, they don't really offer a massive ceiling, but they're usually good to give you 8 to 10 points, which on this slate could be good, or good enough, I would say, because a lot of these value receivers, have pretty low floors. Darrell Williams at 3,200, he's been the backup to CEH. Only got 5 touches last week, but he was able to get into the end zone. So far this year, when CEH has been active, in terms of touches for Darrell Williams, it's usually like 6 to 8 touches max. I mean, he's only going to get probably 3, 4, 5 carries. Maybe he gets like 3 or 4 targets. 3,200, I mean, the matchup's really good, but I think I probably would be off of Darrell Williams on this slate. Like last week, Darrell Williams, I want to look at his snap percentage. Again, it's hard to really look too much into last week because it was such a blowout. But Darrell Williams did play 35% of the snap, or no, he played 35% of the snaps. The week before, he played 46%. So basically, the week before against Denver, it was basically like a 50-50 split in terms of snaps for Williams and CH. CH played 51%, Williams played 46%, and then Derek Gore played 4%. Now, Derek Gore played a lot last week, but I think that was because it was such a massive blowout. He played a lot in the fourth quarter. I don't think Derek Gore plays as much this week. So maybe Darrell Williams plays more snaps. Maybe he gets a few more touches than just 5. Maybe he gets like 8 touches. He's viable, but I don't feel great about him, even at 3,200. And then like Byron Pringle, these are kind of your dart throws. Byron Pringle this year, Like he doesn't really play a ton of snaps. I mean, he's going to be on the field for like 50-60% of the snaps. He's not going to get a ton of targets though. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes really locks in on his key guys, Hill and Kelsey. Last week, Byron Pringle did play on 61% of the snaps, which was actually a decent amount. But again, he only saw one target. I know Mahomes only threw the ball like 24 times last week, but it's really hard to feel great about Byron Pringle. I think you're just kind of banking on that, he's going to be on the field for probably half the snaps, and you just got to hope that he gets like 3 or 4 targets. Maybe he gets you like 8 DraftKings points. Maybe he gets like 4 catches for 40 yards. So he's definitely in play, especially with the lack of value on the slate. Donald Parham and Josh Palmer I don't really like. Josh Palmer, I think, benefited last week without Keenan Allen. He saw 7 targets, played a lot of snaps. He played 87% of the snaps. His role obviously was massive last week without Keenan. Now with Keenan Allen back, I think we can just kind of expect Josh Palmer to be the wide receiver 4, probably play on 30% of the snaps, probably see like 2 or 3 targets. Don't love him at 2,200. Probably would rather play Pringle at a similar price tag. And then I do want to mention Demarcus Robinson. So he's kind of your last like dart throw that you could go to. So last week, Demarcus Robinson, he played on 45% of the snaps. So far as of late in terms of playing time, obviously Tyreek Hill is the number 1 receiver for Kansas City. But Pringle's kind of been the number 2 with Robinson number 3. And then actually McCole Hardman, he has not been playing a ton of snaps. But he's, when he is on the field, he usually is out there running routes. But Demarcus Robinson's going to play around 50% of the snaps. Again, he's not going to project for a ton of volume. He's probably going to project for like 2 or 3 targets. He's $1,800 though, and this is a slate where there is a lot of great pay-up options. So I think Demarcus Robinson is in play, especially with Josh Gordon out. I will mention that Josh Gordon is out. So Josh Gordon has been playing. Like last week, he played 24 snaps. The week before, 13. I think you're going to see a little bit more playing time for Demarcus Robinson, a little bit more playing time for Byron Pringle. Even McCole Hardman should play a little bit more. So with Josh Gordon out of the mix, I think that does make these guys look a little bit better. I still don't think they project for a ton of volume, but they're so cheap, and this is a slate where we have a ton of great pay-up options. So I think throwing darts on McCole Hardman, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson does make a lot of sense. But that's probably it for the player pool. I didn't really mention the backup Chargers running backs. I think I'd only be considering Josh Jackson and or Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly if Austin Eckler were to be out. And for now, I'm expecting Eckler to play. Now, obviously, if Eckler gets ruled out, then Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly, fire them up. They're going to be 2 of the best value plays on the slate. But I would expect that we do see Eckler suit up for this game. But that's it, guys. That's it for the player pool breakdown. We kind of talked about all the playable options. Looking at roster construction for this slate, it's a really tricky one because there's so many good spin-up options, but there's so minimal value plays that you feel good about. In terms of who you could pay up for a captain, I think there's a lot of ways. Like you could go Tyreek Hill, you could go Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, Mike Williams as a low-owned captain. Like there's a lot of good pay-up options. I don't think I'd be going cheap at captain on this slate. Like, I think the cheapest captain that I would be playing would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, I don't really see myself going cheap at captain. I think, like, Tyreek Hill kind of offers you the most big play upside. He's just the guy that can go out there and break a slate. So I like playing him at captain a lot. If I'm playing Tyreek at captain and I'm assuming he has a big game, I would tend to pair the quarterback with the receiver. And especially because, obviously, Mahomes is going to project out so well, I would be playing Mahomes anyway. I kind of want to play both quarterbacks. And if we do play Tyreek with both quarterbacks, you look, you got 3,300 left per player, so you're gonna have to play 1, if not 2 of these, cheap Chiefs receivers, whether it's Pringle or Robinson. Given the snaps have been high for Pringle and he's been kind of the wide receiver 2 in terms of playing time, I think he's the guy I feel best about. So we'll plug him in at 2,600. We could go Demarcus Robinson as well at 1,800. That would leave us enough to play like Jared Cook or McCole Hardman. Like I don't know how I'd feel about this. Like I don't know if I'd want to play. I don't think I'd want to play 4 Chiefs receivers with Mahomes and then just have Herbert as my 1 Charger. Like, that doesn't feel great. But it's tough, man. It's tough to pay up a captain and play both quarterbacks because at that point, you're basically having to play these cheap Chiefs receivers or, one of the kickers, which I'm, fine doing. But maybe if we go a little bit cheaper at captain, maybe we play like Travis Kelce or Keenan Allen. Let's play Travis Kelce a captain in a build. Plug Mahomes in there. Let's play Herbert too because I definitely like playing both quarterbacks in this game. Now we got a little bit more salary to work with. We're probably going to have to still punt a spot. We could probably play Pringle again at 2,600. If we play Robinson at 1,800, that leaves us enough to play like Keenan Allen. So that's kind of a build that you could do. You're not getting Tyreek Hill in there, and obviously Tyreek Hill's a scary fade, especially on a showdown slate, but we still have a lot of solid plays. Kelce, Mahomes, Herbert, Keenan Allen, and then we kind of got like Pringle and Robinson as our dart throws. So kind of like this build quite a bit. I don't think we could play Allen over Kelce at captain. I don't think we have enough salary to do that. Let's see. Yeah, we wouldn't have enough salary. Oh, we would have enough salary. So if you want to do that, you could just take out Kelsey at captain, play Allen at captain. That's also fine. That's kind of a build that I do like on the slate. I think value-wise, you're going to be looking to the kickers for value. You're probably going to be looking to these cheap Chiefs receivers for value. There's not a ton of value that I love on the Chargers side. The backup running backs I'm not going to play. It's really hard to have a ton of confidence in Josh Palmer or Jalen Guyton, given where their prices are and given their roles are going to decrease with Keenan Allen back. But it's a showdown slate. You could throw darts on those guys. I think I'd probably just be playing the cheap Chiefs receivers, though, honestly. But that's it, guys. That's it for this showdown slate. It should be a fun one. It should be a really good game. Hopefully, we'll see a shootout here and another pretty high-scoring, fun game to watch. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, please do, as always, guys, hit the like button down below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. And again, go check out the sponsor of this video, Prize Picks. Go sign up for Prize Picks. Use code NOAH when you do sign up, and they will match your first deposit. Prize Picks will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at what they have to offer. You can take a look at their fantasy point projections for tonight's game. They also have player props, so like they have receiving yards, rushing yards, passing yards, receptions. You can even touchdowns. You can bet on guys to score a touchdown or not. So Prize Picks is a ton of fun. You can mix and match sports. If you guys want to sign up, again, use code NOAH, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. But good luck tonight on the Showdown slate, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.